Now it's back to the classroom for all school pupils in England from Monday, 2 months after the Prime Minister ordered school gates across the country to shut. Measures such as mass asymptomatic testing will be made available for staff, children and their parents or guardians. But is it all enough to convince parents that schools are safe? Let's speak now to psychotherapist Anna Mather, former early years practitioner and mother to 3 children under 6, Josie Henry, and primary school head teacher Simon Kidwell, aka Harry Potter today. Happy World Book Day to you, Simon Kidwell. Josie, let's go to you first. As you gear up to the children returning to school on Monday, how are you feeling?
Mixed feelings, really. A bit emotional. This lockdown has certainly felt longer than the first lockdown. But yeah, I'm anxious, nervous, and I'm certainly seeing those emotions in my daughter now as well. And now I feel concerned about sending her, although I do want her to go, and she definitely wants to go. I am concerned more to do with her mental well-being and her emotional state than I am about her actual education.
Yeah, Simon Kidwell, how are you as a school preparing for children coming back and the expected anxiety that they will be feeling as they return after such a long time off?
Well, I think the message is we've never been closed. We've been open partially since the 5th of January, and we closed last time. We've got 120 children in today, where I'm dressed as Harry Potter. And we're celebrating World Book Day, and we've just had online assemblies with the children who can't join us. So we're really looking forward to it. We've had up to 20 in a class during the recent lockdown. We've had no outbreaks, no cases actually, since January. So we're confident that the measures we're taking are right. And we have to remember why schools closed in the first place, why schools closed on January the 4th. We closed to stop community spread. We didn't close because schools are inherently unsafe. Schools are as safe as they can be. I can't say to the parents they're completely safe, but I can say they're as safe as they can be.
And Anna, you heard there Josie describing that mixture of emotions, that excitement, but also that anxiety, feeling quite emotional about it. That's very common, isn't it, as we move to this next phase?
Absolutely. And I think if we just, in our lives, we acknowledge that familiarity and predictability are the things that make us feel comfortable. So we've had an upheaval of that over the last year so many times. So it's absolutely understandable that as we move through another time of transition, that we're going to be experiencing those anxieties again, and that, it's that mixture of feeling, isn't it, really, that is coming up. And all of those feelings are really valid. And as a parent, I'm a parent of 3 as well, so going through that in my own home. I think, and I know this is a bit of a cruel metaphor to use at the moment, if we think about when we're on an aeroplane and we look, and there's a bit of turbulence, and that air stewardess, the air steward, we look down the aisle and we look to them and we think if they're panicking, we're in trouble. If they're calm, we're safe. So for me, during this pandemic, initially, all my focus was on my kids. Are they okay? How are they doing? And I think I've been learning really, both in my practice and at home, is that it's so important for us as parents to start thinking, how are we? How's our anxiety? What can we do so that we can find that calm amidst the uncertainty, so that when our kids are looking to us, we're able to kind of support them as we're supporting ourselves as well.
How do you go about finding that calm, Anna, though, while you're trying to juggle working, homeschooling, the challenges, the stress levels rising in houses all around the country?
I think it's absolutely vital to be asking yourself, what do I feel? What do I need? Because it's so easy for that question to be constantly kind of poised at the kids in our care. But actually, through this pandemic, I think one of the biggest costs is that we have had to put so many feelings and needs aside in order to look out for the needs of those around us that have been shouting louder. But it's starting to become more aware of what our feelings and needs are amidst this, and how can we even begin to meet them in the smallest ways? How can we get that space? How can we get that connection? How can we get, how can we validate and have those feelings heard and acknowledged by the people that care for us, so that we can then extend that to our children out of an overflow of what we already have? I think one of the biggest challenges over this pandemic is that we have been giving and giving and giving, many things that we have not been able to kind of replenish in ourselves. And there is so much hope, I think, that on these dates there will be freedom and normality in certain aspects will resume. But it's going to be a time of kind of rehabilitation and recovery as we move through this next phase, both for our children and ourselves. And we need to be, sensitive to that too.
Yeah, Josie, I don't know about you, but a lot of people have said to me that they're so desperate for Monday to come to see the children going back to school. But there's also a feeling of that it's going to be an empty nest syndrome, because after such an intense period at home all together with no respite, actually to suddenly see the children going off to school again is going to take some adjustment. How is it going to be for you, do you think?
I would definitely cry, but I know that she'll be fine, and I think it's just about filling time with other things. I mean, I have an 11-month-old who will obviously fill my time while I'm at home.
Yes, you're not going to have much time to think.
No, but I think I'm just going to take it as it comes. I'm not going to plan anything. I'm just going to see what happens.
Simon, obviously you've had some children in, others will have been at home throughout this, and for them it is going to be a transition. How are you going to make that as smooth as possible? What do the next couple of weeks before the Easter holidays have in store to try and rehabilitate the children back into the school environment?
Yeah, we've just had assemblies with the children for Walbrook Day, and I've got a meeting with their parents on Zoom tonight. We've had nearly all of our families joining in, so we're able to reassure them. But we've got to make sure this calm language that Anna talks about goes and spreads across the teachers, the parents, but also the politicians. We're hearing language like a lost generation. It's really unhelpful, because we want to make sure that catch up, if that term is helpful, I'm not sure it is actually a long-term thing. We want to focus on the things that happened in September. Children weren't communicating very well in September when they'd had a long time off school. They were falling out more than they fall out normally. So we've got to do a lot of work on their social skills, on their emotional well-being, and their physical needs as well, because some children physically have struggled during lockdown. So this notion of catch-up isn't just about academic, it's about making sure that broad thing that schools do. And we know now how important the social element of school is, and we've been able to replicate some of the learning through our remote learning and giving devices to families, but you have not been able to replicate the social side. So that will be our priority, making sure children are making sure they have those relationships and can really make a really good run up to Easter.
So are you adjusting the timetable effectively to try and give the children as much of what they've missed out on during this period as they come back?
We think academically they've done really well with home learning, so we're not looking to not offer a broad and balanced curriculum. We're looking to actually make sure the curriculum is full of talk, that it's full of play for our young children, because we're a primary school and nursery at Hertford Manor, but making sure that we also get out and enjoy the school grounds. It's been a hard lockdown for parents because it's been winter, the weather's not been very good. We've got wonderful school grounds, so we've actually moved our Forest School project into the summer term, because that was supposed to happen during lockdown. So we're trying to look at school trips as well. We'd love to be able to go to London with our year sixes, because that's something they really look forward to. So it's those big things that children missed out on now for almost, they missed out on twice for those residentials. So we really want to focus on those areas, as well as the academic, of course, but academic catch up, in my experience, children are very good at that and very resilient.
And what about for the teachers, as well as potentially having their own concerns? There's going to be a lot of emphasis on teachers and a lot of pressure on teachers, isn't there, as pupils come back, identifying where pupils may have fallen behind, where there might be any issues, Simon?
Yes, and teachers want all of our teachers want the children back. They're really excited to see them all together. But we want to make sure we do assess the children. Assessment is really important when children come back, so we can identify the gaps. But I want to make sure those assessments aren't just around the academic. It's around the physical and the social. And we're going to ask teachers to assess them, and then we can target the catch up or the resources that we have to the children most needed. And we think it's going to be our youngest children, because they don't have that base to build from. And those children who are transitioning to high school, I really want to make sure those children get the very, very best deal, so they're ready for high school when they go.
What do you think the impact of this lockdown and homeschooling, Simon, has been on the relationship between parents and schools, that the lines have been blurred, but I don't know whether parents now feel more engaged in what is going on at school in their child's learning.
Certainly for Hertford Manor, I feel it's been amazing, the relationship we've had with parents. They have been incredibly respectful. They brought the children back to school when we said it's safe enough. They've actually kept the children off school when we've said we want to reduce community transmission. For example, when the Prime Minister closed primary schools, we opened on the 4th of January. We were told at 8 p.m. that evening that schools were going to close and then reopen with limited numbers. We were able to get a Zoom call, and 300 parents or 300 attended that, and we were able to give the message that they really should stay at home if they could, because actually our key worker list and vulnerable list, we could have had 70% of our children in. So they've been our parents have been amazing in our relationship. We have weekly Zoom calls and touch base, and the communication's been brilliant. And also they've been very understanding around home learning as well. They've made sure they've supported their children, but they've also know that they've been patient because we've had to work at speed to get home learning up and running and remote learning much better than it was in the first lockdown. So our parents who are watching this, I want to say massive thank you, and I'll see you at 7 o'clock on our weekly Zoom call.
And that communication, Josie, between schools and parents, how important is that to give reassurance as you prepare to send children back?
Massively. I've already been in contact with my daughter's school, just asking really how they plan to go forward in looking out for the children's mental well-being. Do they have anything in place ready for when they do return? And they've come back with some really positive feedback and some information that they have planned. So my fingers are crossed that she will be fine, even though she is already showing signs of anxiety, and it is affecting her emotionally. She's like an emotional roller coaster at the moment. But the communication with the school has been very good. They have different ways of communicating, whether it be through email or through Zoom calls, and not just to parents, but to the children as well. So they have a voice, and they listen to the children as well, which is I have found very helpful, because the things that my daughter would tell the teacher, she wouldn't necessarily want to talk to me about. And I think it's nice that she still has that connection.
Yeah, we talked, Anna, about the blurred lines between home and school life, between being a parent and teacher. I think most of us will have developed a newfound respect for teachers and realised our own weaknesses in that regard, potentially. But how important will it be to get back to that parent-child role rather than the teacher?
I think many parents are going to be welcoming it, but again, it's just recognising that it's going to be a time of transition, and there's always a bit of confusion, isn't there, when roles are changing again. And I think just giving yourself time and just being kind and gentle and patient with both yourself and the kids. And I know it's so much harder to give that to ourselves sometimes, but also it's that recognition that the number of times that I've stood in the kitchen surrounded by worksheets and stuff, and I've said, I can't do this, and we do, and we push through, and we've done what I have called in this household emergency schooling, because I realised at the beginning I was trying to replicate something I actually wasn't trained to do. But that acknowledgement as well, that we have all been through so much that has required a lot of strength and digging really deep. So how can we just be gentle with ourselves as we transition into this next season, this next stage?
Anna Mather, Josie Henry, Simon Kidwell, thank you all. Very good luck for Monday.
Thank you.